In today's era, the internet and smartphone have become an integral part of our lives. We use our smartphone for almost all our day-to-day tasks. Earlier, we used to shop at malls, queue up in the front of banks, and make our travel bookings at travel agencies. But now, we can do all this in the comfort of our homes using smartphones. All of this is possible because of a high-level programming language called Java. Hi, welcome to this video that will tell you everything you need to know about the class-based object-oriented programming language Java. In this course, you may have noticed that I'm not using a computer to teach you Java. Well, the basic reason is because our main aim is not to make you an expert in Java, but rather to make you proficient in it, to enable you see a Java code, identify that this is a Java program, and also understand it and also be able to read that program so that you provide an output for it, because that's what you might be basically doing in the exams. You are not going to be writing code. However, the major part of what you'll be doing is to be reading code and providing an output to whatever that code is saying. In this case, rather, I shall therefore remove all obstructions on the way. So therefore, we'll be looking first of all at the basic structure of a Java program. So as you can see here on the paper, this is how our program basically will be like in a computer. First of all, there's a class definition. So a class is just basically an embodiment of some method. Now I know you might not understand what methods are at this point or understand what I mean by a class, but just keep following me along as you understand in the nearby future. So when you are creating a Java program, basically you start with declaring your own class, which you start by writing public class and the name of your program. So the name of your program could be anything. It could be age, it could be your name, for example, but in this case I'll put program name. Okay, let's take for example, when you are, let's say, typing in a Microsoft Word, right? Let's say you are typing a program or you are typing a document. When you want to save that document, you press Ctrl S and it will bring you a prompt for showing you what name you want to save your program with. All right, now you can put anything as the name of your file. So in this case, when writing your Java program, whatever you put here will be the name of your program. So this will be the class definition, your class definition. The next thing here is the public static void main. Now this line entirely is called the main method. This here will be your main method. All right. So everything you see here must be written as it is. And don't forget one thing, that Java is case sensitive. All right. That means that public written in small letters is different from public written in capital letters. That's what I mean by being case sensitive in Java. Now, after writing these first two lines, the next thing you see in your Java program are your statements. All right. Now, I want you to understand what I mean by this double slash. If you recognize something, I wrote double slash all statements. Now, this is called a comment. In other words, it is called a single line comment. All right, a single line comment is a comment that you write in a single line, or it just basically means that these are statements that the computer neglects. For example, when you input this in an actual computer to run it, the computer will actually recognize this line, it will recognize the main method and recognize the rest of the statement. However, any statement or any operation that comes after these double forward slashes, the computer will neglect. So basically, this line is basically written for programmers or for other people that are not programmers to read and understand your program. All right. So basically, this is a print line statement. Let me write it here. This is a print line statement. So whatever you put between these braces here, it will print it for you. For example, let's assume this area here is an output. All right, that means whatever we execute here will be printed here. Now let's assume I want to write, let's say I want to print my name. All right, my name is Johnson. So if I want to print my name, I'll put Johnson here and put it in double quotation. Now the basic use of putting it in basic quotation is that we are telling Java that this is a string. Now you come to understand what a string means here in the nearby future. But if you want to print a letter All right, anything that is a letter, you have to put it in double quotation marks. So here we put Johnson. If we execute this program, it will print Johnson right here. All right, and don't forget here that if you notice that in each of these statements I put a semicolon at the end. All right, this is because all statements in Java end with a semicolon, just as it is in English language where all sentences end with a full stop. So in Java, all statements end in a semicolon. So if you see me putting a semicolon at the end of every statement, it means that is a statement. All right, anything I put a semicolon at the end of, that means that is a statement. So okay, if you notice, there's a difference between this print line statement and this print statement, and the difference is the presence of this L. So if this is called a print line statement, all right, this is called a print statement. And what's the use of print line and print statement? They just print out whatever you put between them, right? Especially when they're between quotation marks. Let's assume in this print statement I want to print maybe my age. All right, now I'll put 12. All right, I can just put 12 like this. Now if I put 12, the output will be 12. When I run the program, it will put 12 right here. Assuming this is at output stream, right? It will print out 12. Now, the difference between this and this is that here, after the statement have been printed, or whatever you put between the quotation marks have been printed, what happens is that Java will go to the next line. It's just like saying, print whatever you see and go to the next line. Okay, like print Johnson and come to the next line here, and whatever you print again should be on a new line. However, for this print statement, it's just saying that after you print 12, continue printing any statement after this. All right, instead of printing 12 and coming to the next line here and waiting for us to execute the next statement, no, just continue the execution of this statement. Okay, now I know it might be probably hard, but just keep following me through as you understand hereby. Now let's talk about escape sequences. Well, escape sequences are just basically, some notations in Java that helps you to add functionality. Now there are a lot of escape sequences, but I'll just tell you the basic 3 ones that are normally used. And we have the new line, and this is the symbol for the new line, the \n. Okay, so the new line will enable you to write a new line. Okay, I know it might be hard, but let me just try to explain it in this form: escape sequence. Right? Don't forget, what is this again? Can you recall? This is a single line statement, right? A single line comment. A single line comment. So when the computer comes here, it will neglect whatever is here and move on to the next statement. So I said system.out.print. Now let me try to demonstrate the new line statement. Let's print hello. Let's assume I want to say hello. All right, hello. Then put N. Then say how are you. All right, so when this statement is actually executed, this is how it will be printed in our output. It will print hello in this form, hello, then how are you. Now I know some of you might be wondering, but I told you about that the print statement will continue execution on the same line. But this new line statement, what it's basically doing is that after writing hello, it's telling you that you should go to a new line. That's the use of the \n. Go to a new line and print how are you, and this is the output. Hello, new line, how are you. Now what about the tab character? The tab character just allows you to add about 4 spaces after printing whatever you do. For example, it's just like your computer. In your computer, of course, there's a place for pressing tab, right? And if you press tab, it will give you a very good number of spaces after writing whatever you've written. For example, and this is the notation for it, \t. So to demonstrate it, let's say you want to print your name and your surname, but with 4 spaces in between. So you say, let's say my name is Johnson. All right, and I put \t, all right, and put Simon and double quotation marks. Now don't forget, the reason why I'm putting double quotation mark is when you are putting letters, you must put it between quotes, right? For letters, you have to put them between quotes. So the output for this program will be this. It will write Johnson, then gives 4 spaces, then put Simon. Now this is how the output for this program here will be like here. All right, this backslash t is for a tab, so it's basically saying that if I print Johnson, I should give 4 spaces then print Simon. Okay, for this program, for this statement here, is just saying that after writing hello, I should put a new line and ask how are you. Hope you do understand. So at this point, we'll be going to the next module, which is variables. Now, what do you think variables are? Just take a moment and pause. All right, now, okay, assuming you've thought about what variables are, let me tell you what they actually are. Now, variables are actually named storage locations in Java that allows you to store values in them. All right, there are periods when you're writing your program that you want to store values in your program. For example, let's say you might want to store the current time, let's say in your own variable. For example, let's assume the current time is 12 o'clock, right? And then you want to store it so that you use it later. You might say, okay, let's say you might create a variable called hour and say the current time is 12. All right, so what you are basically doing here in this basic notation is like you are creating a box. You created a box and named it hour, which is a variable name, and then you put the value 12 inside that box. So at this point, what the computer does that anytime it sees hour, it is seeing 12. Hope you understand it. Now, actually, this is not the actual way of creating a variable in Java. However, here is the formula. The formula is that, first of all, you have to put the data type, the variable name. However, I know you don't know what a data type means, so let's go on and discuss what data types are. Actually, there are about 6 data types in Java, but we'll be looking at the 4 basic ones, and the first one is integers. Now, when you are creating a variable in Java, or more officially or technically speaking, we say when declaring variables in Java, you have to tell us the type of variable you want. If you observe here, this 12, for example, is a whole number. And as I said earlier, integers are whole numbers. Now, if you want to store 12 in this variable hour, we have to tell Java, okay, hour should be an integer, right? And this is how you do it then. You say integer hour and equal to 12. So basically what you are doing, you are telling Java that you want to store the value 12 in the value 12 in a variable hour of type integer. All right, let's say you want to store 13.5 in the variable hour. Let's say you want to store hour, you want to store 13.5. Now, if you notice, 13.5 is not a whole number. Now, for variables that are not whole numbers, that are not integers, these variables are called double. This leads us to the next data type called double data type. All right, variables that are not integers are basically called variables. They are numbers yet not integers. Now, for this type of variable, if you want to declare it, we say double. Okay, don't forget, this is the formula. You have to put the data type first, or rather, let's come here. You have to put the data type first. All right, this is the data type. Then next, your variable name. This is your variable name. Then equal to, and then value, and this is your value. Hope you do understand. This is another way. Now, I know you might be confused about this notation. Actually, they are just basically 2 ways of, declaring and assigning values. The other type, let's use this example. The other way is to put your data type first. Let's say you want to create a variable 12, okay? No, a variable hour of a value 12. You say integer, okay? Then you say, what's your name of your variable? Let's say it's hour. Then you say hour. That's it. That's the first step. Actually, this is the first step. You say integer hour. Then this is declaring a variable. Then next you have to assign a value to the variable. For example, you say let hour be equal to 12. So you have done 2 things here. You created a variable and called it hour, then assign a value to it. Now let's come back to this notation. It's just like creating a box and putting the value inside the box. Now, wherever Java says hour, to it is saying 12 and not the letter or value hour. Hope you understand. Now, the other way of doing it is just I have described here. You just, first of all, put the data type integer, all right, and then the variable name will be hour, then you put the value 12. Now, I think this is much simpler because here, if you notice it, you are doing it in a single line. Well, if you are using this convention, you are actually doing it in 2 lines. Hope it's not that confusing, right? All right. Now, before I would love to discuss the type of errors we have in Java. Okay, before I discuss what this program actually does. So we have basically 3 types of errors. Okay, so the first type of error is called the syntax error. Now, the syntax error, or rather a compile error, okay, it's either called a syntax or compile error. So this is the type of error that is generated when you neglect a particular syntax. Now, for example, look at this program, or rather look at this statement: system.out.print the current time is. You understand? So if you notice here, as I said earlier, that all statements in Java end with a semicolon. Now, because I did not put a semicolon here, if I put it on the computer and press run, the computer will generate an error, and this error will be a syntax error. All right, so in order to avoid this type of error, you have to make sure that all your syntax is correct. That means you must put semicolon at the end of every statement here. Now, during the examination, the questions come like that. Okay, the lecturer can put something like this: system.out.print the current time is, and refuse to put this semicolon. Okay, and then he might ask you what type of error might be generated in this type of code. Don't forget that this is a syntax error. Okay, any error that is generated which is a syntax error is as a result of neglecting a particular syntax, okay, in your program. Now, the next error is called a runtime error. Okay, a runtime error. Now, actually, this type of error are actually difficult to describe, but I'll try my best to do so. All right. In your calculator, for example, when you want to, let's say, divide a number by 0, let's use a calculator, all right? Let's say you want to divide 12 by 0. As you've noticed, this is a math error in your calculator, but in Java, this type of error is called a runtime error. So basically, if you want to identify a runtime error, any error that is not basically a syntax error and not a semantic error is a runtime error. Now, I know you don't know what semantic error is. Now, semantic error is actually one of the top types of errors. It's called a semantic error. Don't worry, I'll come back to what runtime errors are. Semantic error. Okay, now semantic errors are actually errors in your program. Okay, they are the type of errors whereby, let's say you write a program and the program runs successfully. However, your program is not doing what you want it to do. All right, your program actually runs successfully, but it's not doing what you want it to do. This is called semantic error. It's the error that arises actually from you, and this type of errors are actually difficult to just find it out or to fix. All right, they are actually difficult to debug. Don't forget that debugging is another way of finding your errors and fixing them. In computer terms, it's called debugging. So actually, your program will be difficult to debug if there is a semantic error. While for syntax error, it's actually very easy to debug and find it out, because once you run your program, the computer will now detect it and tell you that, okay, there's an error in so line of your program, so you should go and fix it. As for runtime error, also very easy, of course, to find it out, because once you run it, it will generate an error, just as you see in this calculator where I pressed 12 divided by 0 and it generated an error. Okay, now this type of error in programming language, where let's say if you divide by 0, is called a division by 0 error, which is also a runtime error. And as I said, semantic errors are the type of errors in your program where your program runs just fine, but it doesn't work the way you want it to. Okay, so let's come back to this basic program here. Okay, so this program will be explaining whatever we just did here. Okay, now this program will create a variable called hour, all right, and we'll put 12 inside. Then we create a variable minute, then we assign the value 13. Now look at something here. Then we print system.out.print. Now let's assume this is our output. Okay, wherever whatever the result of this input here will be written here. Now it says system.out.print the current time is. Now this will be the result. In the computer, this is how it will be executed. You say the current time is. Now it gives a space. Now observe something. If you do notice something, I did not put a ln here. Okay, a print. This is just a print statement, not a print line. So it means that the next execution will continue on this same line. It will not come back to the next line. Hope you're understanding. Now let's go back to the next line. It says system.out.print hour. All right. So what is hour? Don't forget, I told you when the computer sees hour here, is seeing 12, right? So it prints 12. Okay, then it says system.out.print colon. Now don't see something. I put this colon in what? In a single quotation mark. I'm supposed to put it in a double quotation mark. So I'm putting this, then assigning this semicolon. If I don't put this quotation marks, what will happen is that the computer will generate what type of error? It will generate a syntax error, right? All right, now we put semicolon. Now, I know at this point you might be confused because at some point I'm using double quotation marks, and at some point I'm not putting double quotation marks. Now, remember something. At the point where I did not put double quotation mark, I'm normally putting a variable. Look at here. I did not put double quotation mark between hour because this is a variable name. All right, this is a variable name. All right, and I want it to put the value, print the value assigned to it. But for this is not a variable name. This is not a variable name, right? Now let's come back to the next line. It says system.out.print minute. Now what is minute, guys? I thought minute was 12, right? Sorry, minute was 13. So it says we should print 13. All right, then the next statement is system.out.print. Now we should print full stop. All right, so this is the execution, the result of this statement. All right, the current time is 12:13 full stop. Now after this full stop, it will come to the next line, because if you see, this print statement has a print line. All right, hope it's not that difficult. So let's go on to see how we perform operation on data types. All right, so look at this program, guys. Please just focus on it. I know it's very hard, but I show you that after watching this tutorial and then you read your handout, it's might not be as hard as you think. All right, so let's go on. So let's see this statement, system.out.print line. All right, then it says 1 + 2 + numbers. All right, now this is what Java will actually do. First, it will add 1 + 2. What is 1 + 2? 1 + 2 is 3, right? Now I know you begin to doubt yourself. Now you say, okay, 1 + 2 is 3. Now, what will 3 + numbers be? Now, what Java will do in this case, it will join 3 and numbers, because numbers is not a number, okay? It's not like a real integer. It's not like a double value. So it will just print 3 numbers. Okay, it will join num3 with these numbers, and what it is called, the convention here is called concatenation. Concatenation is just like joining two values, okay, together, two values without adding them or performing any arithmetic operation on them. Now look at something here. This next statement, very important, you have to focus here. It says double x equal to 12 over 2.0, 12 divided by 2.0. Now, I know I might be saying equal to, but actually this is not an equal to. This is called in Java an assignment operator. Assignment. It's just like you are using it to assign a value to a variable, all right? So we are creating a variable called x. All right, and we are assigning 12 divided by 2. If you don't forget that 12 is a double value, right? 2 is a double value. So we want to say that why not divide 12 by 2 and assign the value to what? To x, which is a double value. So in this case, if after evaluating this expression, we say system.out.print x. So what the computer will do is that it will divide 12 divided by 2, which is 6.0, then assign the value to x. So in this case, x will be what? What will be the output? X will be 6, as you get 6.0, not 6. Don't forget, it is 6.0, not 6. Assuming we put integer x, the answer will be 6. But since it is a double value, it will print 6.0. Now, look at this next program. This next program is add numbers, all right? So we created a double value variable called add numbers and added, then we put 2 plus 3, all right? 2 plus 3 is what, guys? Is it not 5? All right, now look at something. Instead of saying 2.0 plus 3.0, all right, I say 2 plus 3. So it's also allowed in Java. Instead of putting 2.0 plus 3.0, I can also put 2 plus 3. However, when we store, it means that 2.3 is 2 plus 3 is 5, right? So if we store it in add numbers, right? Now we are storing it in add numbers of what? What's the type? Double now. Our result will be, if we print add numbers, our result will be 5.0. Take a little time to understand this. Why is it not 5 and why is it 5.0? Because to Java, there's a difference between 5 and 5.0. To Java, 5 is an integer and 5.0 is a double. And don't forget, we are telling Java that this type of value we want you to store is a double value or a value with what? A decimal point. So that's why Java is saying 5.0. All right, so as we move on further, you understand what I mean. So let's go on to the next module, which is input and output. Okay, input and output. So there are periods in Java where you would want, of course, to obtain input from a user. Okay, you want to obtain input from a user. Okay, if you look at in our previous programs, we have not been obtaining input from a user at all. What we have been using is we are just assigning input deliberately on our own. But in this point, we're going to obtain input from a user. Now, in obtaining input from a user, we have to import what we call a java.util.scanner class. All right, you have to import a scanner class. Now I know you still don't understand all these conventions. There's no need actually of understanding them. Don't forget, you are not meant to be an expert in Java. You're just doing it for the sake of examination and so that when you are reading the handout, you understand it much better. So now, to get input from a user, you have to import the scanner class, and this is the convention. First of all, in your program, you say import java.util.scanner. Now, this is the scanner class. And what is contained in a scanner class? Actually, we have methods in a scanner class. There are some functionalities that we use to obtain input from a user, and they are found in the scanner class. I know you don't understand, but don't worry, you understand further. Now look at it. The next thing, first of all, create a public class and say H calculator, right? Don't forget, H calculator is the name of our program. Okay, I told you that when declaring a class, you say public class, the name of your program, all right, which is age calculator for now, because we want to create a program that will calculate the age of a person, for example, in the next 10 years. Now, I actually made a mistake here, but I'll be correcting it. After your class definition, you have to create a method, right? A main method. So this is how to do it. As I said, you say public static void main, then you say string, okay, args. Exactly, don't neglect anything I'm putting here. You have to put it exactly if you are using a computer, right? Else, if you are not using it, there's no problem. But just take note that Java is case sensitive. Whatever I put here must be put exactly in your book or just in your computer if possible. All right, so now that we have created a class, we have created a main method. The next thing is to create a scanner object, or else we create an instance of the class. Now what I'm doing here is only peculiar if you want to obtain an input from a user. If you want to create an input from a user, this is how you do it, the way I'm going to write it. However, if you're not obtaining input from a user, this is basically the normal convention, just as in this place. So let's get back to where we are. All right, so to create a scanner object, you write this scanner, you say scanner, all right, then you create a variable. You put any variable, any letter. Let's use in, for example, just as it's used in the handout in. Okay, you can use any letter anyway here. Okay, let's just use input, just for simplicity's sake. Then say scanner input equal to new scanner, then you say system dot in. All right, then put semicolon. All right, at this point now, Why not let's ask the user, after creating this now, we'll now ask the user to tell us his age. So we say, let's ask the user, we say system dot out dot print line and say enter your age. All right, now, so what is happening here is that Java will now ask the user to enter his age. So this is the output. Okay, whatever we are doing here, the output will be here. Now, if Java sees this statement, it will print here. It will ask the user to enter your age. It will ask the user to enter his age. All right, now, then we'll put semicolon, right? Now, after asking the user to enter his age, the next thing we must do is, first of all, we have to, create a variable that will store that age. So if you want to do that, you create a variable. Let's say I want to create since our age is a whole number, right? We'll say integer. Let's create a variable age and say, now observe something. Take a note of something. We'll say input dot next. I know this is very difficult. Okay, input dot next int, then semicolon. Now this is the explanation of what this statement means. What we are doing basically here is that we are saying that this is a method. Actually, this is a method. Okay, now this is our object name. What we did here, input. Can you say input? So you say you create a variable called age, then you say input dot next int. All right, so what this line does here is that it will allow a user to enter his age, but the age must be a whole number. If the user enters, let's say, a number that is not a whole number, let's say the user enters 12.0, the computer will print an error, and it will print a syntax error because that is not what it is expecting. That's what this statement does. All right, so you have to, if possible, can you please memorize next int? All right, memorize next int. Next int is a method. Okay, a method for obtaining values that are integers. Okay, let's assume our user enters 12. Let's say it enters, let's assume our user's age is 20 and the user enters 20. Now we want to calculate the user's age, right, in the next 10 years. Well, then what we say is that, okay, since we have declared a variable age, can we just say that let your age be equal to, you understand, take the current age, which is equal to what, 20, and add 10 years to it. So what here, don't forget here Java is saying 20, right? So say Java is saying, okay, 20 plus 10, right? Then to store it what in the current age. So what will be your age at this point? Your age will be 30. Am I wrong? Not really, actually. So what we'll do here, we can now print a prompt for the user. So we tell the user is that, what we tell him is that dot print. So we are assuming the user entered 20s, and then we made some arithmetic, operations and added 10 to the age. So we now say your age is plus age. Now this thing keeps getting difficult over time, right? So this is what this statement does. It says your age is, don't forget what is here. Here is 30. 20 plus 10, 30. So your age is 30. Hope you are getting me. What did I say? I've already explained this thing earlier. I told you that this plus is like a concatenator. It's called concatenation, which is joining two things together, like joining a letter with what? With an integer, for example. Because this is an integer, don't forget Java to it, this is not a normal like letter, this is 30 to it. Okay, so you are joining a string, this is called also a string, or you are joining a letter with a number. So your age is 30. Hope you are really understanding it, right? All right, so let's go on to another program. Okay, here, take a look at this program. Okay, we'll go to the next module. Here is formatting input. Okay, this is how to format an input. So let's say 4 divided by 0. Let's use our calculator. 4 divided by 3, sorry. So 4 divided by 3 is 1.33333. Very long number. But what if you want your result to be, here if you see the output will be 1.3333333. But what if you want your result to be just 1.333? How do you do that? Now to do that, we have to format our output, and Java provides us a way of doing that. And one way of doing this is this. First, you say system, all right, system dot out dot print f. Now, do you know what f means? F means format. Print a formatted value of this. So if you want to do it, you just say, let's say answer will be equal to, now this is how you do it. You say percentage dot f. Let's say since you want it to be 3 decimal places, you understand, you should have 3 after the decimal point. We want it to print 3 numbers. You say 3, right? Then you close it this way. You say, then you put comma, then you put, what is it? You put 1, or let's say you put 4.0 divided by 3.0, then you close it this way. Now, this is how to print a formatted output. What this program does is that it says answer equal to. Now, this convention is the most confusing part, I know, but it is very important. Okay, this is percentage sign dot f3. Okay, dot f3. This f means float. Okay, another name for double is also float. Okay, so it's saying float. Now print the result of this thing. You say 4 divided by 3, right, is 1.33. So what it's saying is that instead of putting 1.33333, why not just put 1.333? So the output here will be, let me give you what the output will be. Output here is equal to, all right, ans. Okay, this ans equal to 1.333. So what Java is actually doing is like it's carrying this value and putting it here. All right. So this is the value. This is the answer. Now, I know at this point you might be getting confused, but I just want you to understand something. Don't try to cram whatever I'm doing. What I'm doing is that I'm trying to make you to understand, all right? And the basic purpose also is so that when you are reading the handout, is so that you understand it better. So do one thing for me. Why not go back to your handout, okay? Go back to your handout, read it again. Okay, use the knowledge you've gained here to understand the handout. This thing is not difficult at all. It's not very difficult, okay? So just understand what I'm doing. Don't try to cram it. Don't try and say, okay, you want to learn how to write a program on your own. You don't have the time to do so now. You just want to know how to read a program. Now, let's write a program that will calculate the area, okay? Let's say the area of what now? I don't know. The area of anything. Just want to create a program that will calculate area. And don't forget, this is the formula for area, right? Area is equal to pi r square. We are getting to maths and physics, okay? Area is equal to pi r square. Now, let's say given pi and r, we want to calculate area. Now, this is what we do. I told you that, and don't forget, we don't know what our r is, right? But we know what pi is, right? Pi is basically 3.142, basically. But we don't know what our radius is, okay? So what we do is that we need to obtain input from a user. And since we intend to obtain input from a user, what we do is this. We have to write import our scanner class, right? Import, right? java.util.scanner, okay? Next, what did I say? Now you create your class name, public class. What is the name of this program? Let's say area calculator. Yeah, area calculator. Okay, then you said, okay, opening brace. Okay, opening brace. This is an opening brace. Yeah, I made a mistake here. I created an opening brace. Okay, here in Java, when you create, like, let's say you write a class name, you put an opening brace. This is called an opening brace. All right, then you close it. Immediately you put an opening brace, you close it. Likewise here for the main method, you could put an opening brace, then you close it. Okay, so this is a must in Java. This is a must. I don't know why it's done that way, but it's a must in Java. So the next, now you create your main method, public static void main. You can be following me along so that you understand. Then you put string args, okay? Then you close it, open this bracket, right? Now the next thing is to do is to what? Create your own scanner object. I told you. Then you say scanner it will be used to obtain input. This is only peculiar when you want to obtain input from a user. Input, okay, equal to new keyword, the scanner, then system dot in, right? Dot in, is it dot in? Yeah, dot in. Now then you put a semicolon indicating that this is a statement. Now the next thing is that you want to ask the user for the what do you want to ask the user? You want to ask him for the the radius. Then tell the user system dot out dot print line and tell him enter radius. At this point, now the user will be prompted to enter the radius of the radius. So at this point, let's assume the user enters let's say 2.0, right? Now at this point, the user wouldn't have entered anything because we haven't prompted him. This is just a print line statement to allow him to enter some like a value. And let's assume our radius is not a whole number. Let's say our radius is 2.0. So we say, okay, we are expecting a value of 2.0. So we say double. We are expecting a number that is not a whole number, double, and we say r, which is radius, equal to input dot. Now earlier I told you that if you want to obtain an integer value, you say input dot next int, but if you want to obtain a double value, we say next double. Okay, next double, then you do it like this. Next double for double values, next int for what? Integers. Next double. Then what else? Then I think at this point we can now we can now make our calculations. Then we say, okay, let's create double this area. Okay, this area will hold our area, so we now say 3.142, which is pi times what? R, whatever the user enters here, 2.0 times r. R times r is not r square. Then we now say system dot out dot print line. Then we say area. All right, that's it. Then we'll close this brace. Then we'll close this one. I know it's very, very exhausting, but this is how to write the program. Don't worry about cramming it. You would just have to understand how I did it. Okay. So let's talk about conditionals and logic. But before we do so, we go for a short break. Okay, welcome back from the break. So we'll be talking about conditionals in this module. So conditionals are basically used to carry out operations based on whether an operation or condition is true or false. Now, this will lead us to another type of data type we haven't discussed, and that data type is called Boolean. Okay, now Boolean can have either one of the two values. A Boolean can either be true or false. That is the value of a Boolean. And if you want to declare a Boolean value, this is how you do it. You say bool. Let's say you want to declare a bool called a. All right, now bool a. Now the value I told you can either be true or false, right? True. All right, or you can create a bool value called b and put it false. Now, holding that thought in your head, let's come to here. Okay, let's demonstrate how to use Boolean values. Let's say you created a variable called x, okay, and you assign the value 2 to it. Now, let's assume you created a variable called y, and then you assign the value what? Which value would you assign to it? Just think about it. All right. Let's assume we assign the variable 10. Okay, 10 is much better. Now, let's discuss how to use it. Now, let's say, do you know there's something? Do you know what a relational operator is? A relational operator is used to check a condition normally. For example, can we say x is equal to 2? Is x equal to 2? What is the answer? True. Can you see I'm now demonstrating Boolean values? X equal to 2. It's x greater than equal to y. Look at what I'm saying. Is 2 greater than equal to y? No, 2 is not greater than equal to y. So what will be our answer? Will be false. Can you see I'm using relation? These are called relational operators. This equal to, greater than, equal to. These are relational operators. Now, is y less than 5? Think about it. Is 10 less than 5? No. 10 is not less than 5 because 10 is greater than 5. So the answer will be false. Okay, now is y equal to 10? Yeah, the answer is true. Y is equal to 10. So as you can see, there are different kind of relational operators. There are about 6 of them. I think there's equal to, there's greater than equal to, there's not equal to. This is not. Okay, it's just like saying y not equal to 5. Is y not equal to 5? Yes, y is not equal to 5, so it's true. So this is one of the also relational operators. We have also less than equal to, I can't remember the rest, but these are the ones I can recall for now. Don't forget, you don't have to cram them, all right? So now let's talk about conditional statements. Okay, now we have the if, the conditional statement we have currently right now. I don't know about what will be added in future, but for now we have the if statement. Now this is how you write an if statement. An if statement, this is how you do. You say if condition, this is the formula. If condition, then statement. Else statement. Okay, now which program are we going to write? Okay, don't forget we have declared integer x equal to 2 and integer y equal to 10, right? Now let's use an if statement, okay, to describe relational operators. All right, let's say, let me demarcate it. Okay, let's demarcate it. Let's say I want to write a program. Okay, let's say if, just be following me along, if x is greater than y, system.out print hello. No, so it's print line hello. All right, else, okay, else system.out.print, then print hi. Now, do you know the output of this program? Do you know what it does? Okay, let's follow it after. What is x? X is 2, y is 10. Is 2 greater than 10? No, 2 is not greater than 10. All right? Or is it greater? No, 2 is not greater than 10. So it's saying that if 2 is greater than 10, print hello. Else, print hi. That means if 2 is not greater than 10, print hi. So in this program, the value will be high. The output will be high. High. Okay, but let's assume, okay, let's assume x is 10 and y is 2. This is just an assumption. Okay, this is just an assumption. Let's assume x is 10 and y is 2. In this point, if we say if 10 is greater than 2, print hello, else print hi. Now because 10 is actually greater than 2, it will print hello and neglect this statement. Hope you understand. Now let's talk about nested if. A nested if is just like putting an if statement inside another if statement. It's a very confusing concept, and I don't advise you to use it, okay? But basically, these kind of questions are very common in computer science examination because they try to confuse the student. But if you understand the basic concept here, you will not be confused, okay? So let me organize myself so I don't make a mistake likewise. Okay, so now we are now working on the assumption that x is equal to 10 and y is equal to 2. Okay, now let's write a program. Let's say if x is greater than y, is x greater than y? Let's see. Is x greater than y? Yeah, x is greater than y. If x is greater than y, then we'll put another if. This is a nested if. What did I say? A nested if is putting an if statement, another if statement. If x is greater than y, then if x is equal to 10, system.out.print line and say hi, else, do you know why I'm closing this brace? This brace, this is a closing brace, okay? This another one, okay? else system dot out dot print line. Okay, hope you are seeing that. Print hello. I will explain what I mean after writing the program. So this if statement, this is the else, then we can say else system dot out dot print how are you. Now we evaluate this program. Okay, so as you notice, this program is using a nested if. Okay, an if statement inside another if statement. So don't forget that this if is under this if statement. Hope you understand. So this is how it works. It says if x is greater than y, if 10 is greater than 2. If the condition is true, then execute this condition. Let's assume that x is 2 and y is 10, right? So if you see that 2 is 2 greater than y, no, 2 is not greater than y. So let's assume x was 2. It will skip this one. It will skip this one. It will come back and write how are you. But now that we've already assumed that x is 10 and y is 2, it will say if x is greater than y, yes, we say x is greater than y. It says then it will now ask, is x equal to 10? Yeah, x is equal to 10, of course. Then it will print hi. Now what will happen is that this part will be neglected. This part will also be neglected because this condition is already true. So it only print this part and neglect this. Okay, it is very difficult to understand. Now don't forget that this high is based on the assumption that x was equal to 10, and that y was equal to 2. Now let's assume that x was equal to 2 and y was equal to 10. Let's assume. Now let's see something. Y is 2 greater than y? No, 2 is not greater than y. Now in this case, because 2 is not greater than y, or 2 is not greater than 10, it will skip this entire code and come and print this else. It will come and print how are you. It will say how are you. Hope you understand. Okay, so this is how an if else work, okay, or a nested if works. So let's take on loops. Okay, so what is a loop? Of course, if you read the beginning of the handout, probably the first 3 chapters, you should understand what loops are. Loops allows you to write a program or to execute a statement multiple times. Okay, it allows you to execute a statement multiple times, or execute, like your code multiple times. Let's say you want to print hello world 5 times. Normally, I thought you write system dot out, all right, dot print line, right, and say hello world, and you do it again, right? You have to do this 5 times, but because of loops have made it to be very, very easy. You don't have to do all this kind of work, writing print line, system dot out or print line hello world up to 5 times. Okay, you don't have to do that. Now there are different types of loops. Okay, now let me describe the different types of loops using this very example. Number 1, we have the for loop. Secondly, we have the while loop. Very important to grab. And we have the do while loop in Java. Okay, this is in Java. Now for different programming languages, there are different types of loop, but in Java we only have basically 3. Now let's example, we want to use the for loop to create hello world 5 times. This is how you do it. You say for, you use the keyword for. Now let me just give you the formula, right? Should I give you the formula? No, the formula is very long actually, but this is how you do it basically. You say for, then you say int. Don't worry, I'll tell you what I mean. Int I equal to 0. Then if I is less than 5, increment I plus, then you say, this is an opening brace, please, system dot out dot print line, then you say hello world. you want to print hello world 5 times, right? Hello world. Then you say do it like this, then you close it. Can you see how incredibly simple this is? Very simple, but I know you might be confused. Now, what does these things mean? What does it mean? Now, look at something. Do you know what does this resemble? What we are doing here is like we are creating a variable called I of type integer and assigning the variable 0. What we are doing here, this is a conditional. We are just saying is I less than 5. All right. Now, this is the only part I know you will not understand. I here, I plus plus, it means that it will keep adding 1 to I. Okay. Now, let me describe how it works. So, first of all, you have to create a variable called I, assign the value 0 to it. All right. Then you say what it's doing here is that it will say I is now equal to 0. Then you ask, is 0 less than 5? If 0 is, the answer is true. 0 is less than 5, then it will say print hello world. This is the output. You say hello world. Okay, then it will add this very expression will add 1 to I. Then we say it will add 1 to I. Now I will be what? 1. Okay, then we say is 1 less than 5? Yes, 1 is less than 5. Then print hello world. Hello world. Hello world. Then what? It will add what again? 1 to 1, right? 1 plus 1 is 2. Now I is 2. Is 2 less than 5? Yes. Then print hello world. Hello world. Then we say okay, add 2 plus 1 is what? Add 1 to 2. It's not 3. Then say okay, ask again. Print hello world. Then it will come and ask is 3 less than 5? Of course 3 is less than 5. Then print hello world. Hello world. Then it will now add 1 to 4. Can you see how it works? Then it will come and say okay, is 4 less than 5? Yes, 4 is less than 5. Print hello world. Hello world. Okay, now then it will come and add what? 1 to 4. Then we say is 5. Now is 5 less than 5? No, my friends, 5 is not less than 5. 5 is equal to 5. Then at this point it will create the entire program. Now if you can see, if you count it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it has executed our code 5 times. Now let's come back to while loop. Now this is how you write this program, while loop. You say while, okay, while, but at this point, even before doing anything, you say while, you create an integer and call it 0. Integer I, let's say integer I 0. Okay, now you say while I is less than 5, print system.out.print line and say hello world. Hello world. Okay, then you now do what you now do next is this. Then you now say let I be equal to I plus 1. Then you quit. Now what it does is this. It will say system.out.print hello world. Okay, it will create an integer I equal to 0. Don't forget. Then say while I is less than 5. Is 0 less than 5? Yes, 0 is less than 5. Then print hello world and say 0 plus 1 is 1. Then assign it to this variable. What will the answer be? I will now be equal to 1, right? Now it will now come back again. Then ask, is 1 less than 5? You understand? It's just like this, okay? But for this one, I think it is more simpler, right? Then ask, is 1 less than 5? Is 1 less than 5? Then it will do it again. It will print hello world and add 1. Okay, then I will be 2. Then it will print hello world. That's how it continues doing. Now the different one among them, because this for loop and while loop are very, very similar, but do while loop, we have to execute the statement once before checking a condition. This is how it does. It will say do something before checking the condition. Let's create integer I equal to 0. Then ask the user. Then print hello world. Okay, system.out.print line, say hello world. All right, then after it does that, then it will say while, do the following while I is less than what? 5. Now what it does here is that it will say is I equal to 0? Yes. Then print hello world. Oh well, I made a mistake. Actually here you say let I be equal to I plus 1. Now, don't forget the purpose of this. I'm not teaching you how to write Java programs. I'm teaching you how to read Java programs. Now, let's read this together. Okay, I is equal to 0 at this point. Now, what it does that the next line it will print hello world like this. Let's assume this is an output. Hello world. It will print hello world. Then add. Then say let's 0 plus 1 is what? 1, right? Then it will store it in variable I. Now I will be 1. Then it will come and ask, is 1 less than 5? Yes, of course, 1 is less than 5, right? Then it will come back and print hello world again. Hello world. All right. Then it will add 1 plus 1 is what? 2. Then it says 2 less than 5. Now it continues doing this until I is equal to 5, where it will come and ask is 5 less than 5, then the answer will be wrong. But before it reaches that stage, we'll have printed hello world 5 times. Hope you do understand it. So we're taking a break right here. Then when we are back, we talk about methods, and then we'll solve the remaining programming problems. Then after that, you can now go and study the handout on your own, then write the exam successfully. I wish you all the best. Thank you.